I'm so pleased to welcome you to the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. My name is Sonja Chamberlin, and I'm the Dean for SAIT School of Health and Public Safety. And joining me this morning, we have Dr. David Ross, President and CEO of SAIT, Board Chair David Erickson, Board Member Ryan McDonald, Dr. Janet Welch, Vice President Academic of SAIT. SAIT is located on the traditional territories of the Niitsitapi, or Blackfoot, and the people of Treaty 7, which includes the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, the Tsuut'ina, and the Ihahe Nakota of Chiniki and Goodstoney. We are situated in an area the Blackfoot tribes traditionally called Mohkinstsis, where the Bow River meets the Elbow River. We now call this the city of Calgary, which is also home to the Métis Nation of Region 3. Today, we welcome Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Member of Parliament, Calgary Skyview, George Chahal, to our dental clinic. SAIT's dental clinic offers students in our dental assisting program hands-on learning opportunities and real-world preventative dentistry experience. With dental services accessible to fellow students, employees, and our community members, the clinic serves as a cornerstone for practical skills development in a professional atmosphere. This clinic is truly a testament to the quality of education and training available here at SAIT, and we're very proud to host you in this space. I would now like to invite George Chahal, Member of Parliament, Calgary Skyview, to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sonja, for the kind introduction. I'm thrilled to be here alongside Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for such an exciting announcement. Our government remains committed to supporting the middle class, so Canada continues to be safe, healthy, and affordable. Building more homes Canadians can afford means removing barriers and getting shovels in the ground. That's exactly what we're doing with our $228 million investment to Calgary through the Housing Accelerator Fund. We're cutting red tape, fast-tracking construction, and changing the way cities build housing. We're also helping build the right kind of homes that provides more options near transit, near schools, and near opportunity. Supporting the middle class also means access to quality, affordable healthcare and dental care. Our government has committed more than $1 billion over 3 years for healthcare services right here in Alberta. Did you know a third of the people living in Canada do not have dental insurance? In 2022, 1 in 4 Canadians reported avoiding visiting an oral healthcare professional because of the cost. Access to oral healthcare should not be dependent on Canadians' ability to pay. That's why we've announced the Canadian Dental Care Plan, helping families across the country get the care they need, and we're expanding our support. The plan will cover a wide range of health services, including cleaning, x-rays, and preventative care. Today, I am honored to introduce my good friend, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, who has worked tirelessly on these initiatives to ensure an affordable, healthier, and better future for Canadians. With his leadership, we've been able to strengthen our economy, create affordable housing, and invest in health and dental care, so Canada remains a leader and a beacon for hope for millions across the globe. Thank you. Prime Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, George, for introducing me, but also for all the incredible work you do as our MP for Skyview, a proud Calgarian, a proud voice for Alberta within our party and within our government. It is really, really a pleasure to be back here with you and making this important announcement. It's great to be back in Calgary. Great to be back here at SAIT. Thank you so much, Sonja, for your leadership here in the school, but also David, thank you for welcoming us as well. Thank you to all the teachers and instructors and leaders here that make SAIT such an extraordinary institute where so much happens, not just building the future and training students to be able to have the impact that they need to have in the economy of tomorrow, but also directly serving communities in ways that really demonstrate the values and the ethos that is typical to SAIT, but also typical to Albertans, being there for each other, visionary about the future, and working hard every step of the way. That's why it's so great to be back in Alberta, so great to be having conversations with people about what governments can do to make sure people are having the best possible future. Because we all know times are tough right now. There's challenges around inflation, challenges around affordability, particularly around housing and groceries, concerns about the impacts of climate change and what that's going to mean for jobs in the future, for careers that young people can have. There's a lot of uncertainty in a world that's changing right now. And that's why, as a government, we've continued to step up. And it hasn't been automatic, and it hasn't been easy, because there's a lot of different perspectives on how to best help Canadians to move forward. I will say that our conversations with the Government of Alberta about how to build a strong future have always been very constructive. Our commitment to investing in a better future for all Canadians includes especially Alberta, because here is where so much of the economic growth, of the powering of a net zero future is going to happen right across the country and around the world. So continuing to be here to invest, whether it's investing in housing, investing in other competition and affordability measures around groceries, and moving forward with a climate plan that puts more money in people's pockets while we reduce our emissions and prepare for the decarbonization challenges that will continue to have Alberta providing energy in the future. These are all the things that we've been focused on, and we're going to continue to focus on and work with Albertans at all levels of government to be able to deliver. Mais ici, aujourd'hui, je suis très content d'être ici pour parler de la santé, parce que nous reconnaissons à quel point c'est important de garder les Canadiens en santé. And speaking about healthcare is an essential building block of a successful future for Canadians. We moved forward last year with announcements around $200 billion in investments in healthcare right across the country, negotiating deals with the provinces to make sure that we're delivering more primary care, that we're delivering better support for frontline healthcare workers, that we're moving forward on mental health, and that we're underpinning all of that with better data collection so we can truly see what's happening well in different parts of the country, where it needs to be improved, and so Canadians can actually have real understanding of the results and the improvements that their tax dollars are investing in public healthcare systems right across the country. We've announced recently we're moving forward on pharmacare, particularly around diabetes and contraception, because we know those are two areas where people are unfortunately having to make choices between paying for groceries, putting food on the table, or their own health, well-being, and future. And that's where stepping up on that way is going to be really important. But today we're here to talk about dental care. This is a way for us to not just go at people's health and improve health outcomes for Canadians across the country. It's also a way of dealing with affordability. Last year, almost 500,000 kids whose families don't have any sort of dental coverage were able to go to the dentist because we stepped up around dental care. And this year, we've already seen 1.3 million seniors sign up for our Canada Dental Care Plan. This is going to make a huge difference right across the country. So far, Canadians 70 and older are registering for this program. Within a month, it'll be down to 65 and older who can register, and people will start getting services as of later this spring right across the country. It's a really exciting time because we know that mouth health is body health increasingly, and making sure that our seniors and our young people as a first step have access to dental care is about creating both healthier outcomes and less pressures on our healthcare systems, but also better quality of life while taking away some of the affordability challenges for people. It makes a huge difference, and it's something that we're very, very pleased to be stepping up on and delivering for seniors right now, right across the country. D'investir dans les soins de santé dentaire, c'est juste quelque chose de profondément logique. Ça aide avec les coûts de la vie et l'abordabilité, avec des gens qui sont vulnérables et qui ne pouvaient pas se payer des visites chez le dentiste. Ça aide avec la qualité de vie, avec la qualité des soins médicaux qu'on reçoit. On est en train d'investir tout de suite dans un avenir plus fort pour tous. But let me say, as great an idea as dental care for seniors and young people who don't have access to dental care coverage would seem, it's not automatic. It seems like, oh my God, it's a no-brainer. Let's make sure that our seniors have access to dental care because it'll keep them healthier for longer. Let's make sure that kids who come from families that don't have access to dental care actually get that care they have, because in Canada, you shouldn't ever judge the income that their family made based on the quality of their smile. But it's not automatic. This was actually a real debate in Parliament. The Conservative Party of Canada stood resolute against us moving forward on dental care for seniors, against moving forward on dental care for young people, for people with disabilities, for people who don't have coverage in this country. And their justification was, oh, it's a bad investment in Canadians. It'll contribute to inflation. The Conservative Party thinks the best way to get Canadians through these tough times is to offer cuts to programs, cuts to things like dental care, cuts to child care. Child care in Alberta has saved average families $10,000 per child over the past years. This is massive. And these are ways government can step up to make life more affordable for families. But the Conservative Party has stood against dental care every step of the way, stood against pharmacare, stood against child care, and continues to not get that confident governments, confident countries invest in their people. Invest in better outcomes. Invest in the kind of innovation that's going to lead the world in solutions we need. Investments that are going to lead to a happier, healthier population that can do better jobs as we continue to see a transformation of our workspace. The world is changing, and the job of any government is to roll up our sleeves and make sure that Canadians can benefit from the changes that are happening around the world. And burying your heads in the sand, like Conservative politicians tend to do, is not the right path. I have to say, at the federal level, there's a definite lack of vision. At the provincial level, I'm glad that I've been able to move forward on a number of significant issues with Danielle Smith's government here and with partners across the country. And we'll continue to look for areas of common ground where we can make a positive impact on Canadians. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of investments from the federal government has been flowing to Alberta over the past year, just in specific world-leading companies that are creating solutions for the future. I'm excited about the future we're building because I know what Canadians are capable of. And I believe that the work that we need to continue to do is to roll up our sleeves and keep being there for each other, because that's how you build stronger communities, a stronger future. And that's why I'm so glad to be back here at Alberta, where people are so focused on building a smaller future, a smarter future, on building a better opportunity for everyone here, because it spreads right across the country. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now start question period. We have 20 minutes for questions, starting with the press from SAIT.
Hi, I'm Janelle de los Reyes from SAIT, the press, student publication. Speaking of solutions for the future, what can we expect in the federal budget in addressing the perpetuating student housing crisis in Alberta and across the country?
This budget that we're working on right now will be focused on both supporting Canadians now and building a better future for the coming years, with a particular recognition that young people in particular are squeezed and struggles, whether it's the challenges around student housing that you highlighted. One of the things we've seen is an explosion in the number of international students over the past few years. We need to make sure that those students are being properly supported, getting the best quality education, and that the numbers of people coming in are manageable to the ecosystems that are actually supporting and teaching them. And that's why we've brought forward changes on that. We've also moved forward not just with various range of programs on housing that are creating more affordable housing, that are working on our Reaching Home program to end homelessness. But we've actually signed big deals with the municipal governments, particularly with Calgary and with Edmonton, to change the way housing gets built in this country. The Housing Accelerator Fund is all about making sure that whether it's zoning or cutting red tape or using more public lands or moving forward on greater densification, that it's not just this project or that project that the government's investing in, which is something we're going to continue to do, but that every lot in a given city has an opportunity to increase densification, to really take advantage of the opportunities to solve this housing crisis together. That's the kind of investments that this country is continuing to do, and we're going to continue to focus particularly on making sure that young people can start a family and afford their homes.
Next question.
Anne-Marie Tricky, Radio-Canada. Si possible, si on peut avoir la réponse en anglais également. Sur la taxe carbone, on a vu hier plusieurs sorties des premiers ministres de l'Atlantique contre la taxe carbone, dont le premier ministre libéral de Terre-Neuve. La mesure n'a presque plus d'appui dans les provinces. Quelle est votre réaction et avez-vous signé l'arrêt de mort de la taxe carbone quand vous avez mis en place l'exemption sur le mazout en octobre dernier?
À partir du mois d'avril, une famille de 4 personnes en Alberta va recevoir 1 800 $ avec notre rabais sur le prix sur la pollution. Si dans des milieux ruraux, ça va être 20 % de plus. Notre façon de mettre un prix sur la pollution met plus d'argent dans les poches de 8 personnes sur 10 à travers le pays dans les régions où notre prix s'applique. On a fait ces investissements, on a fait ce programme pour livrer des chèques 4 fois par année pour les familles, tout en réduisant nos émissions de gaz à effet de serre. C'est un principe de base qui a livré et qui continue de livrer et au niveau de l'abordabilité et au niveau des bénéfices avec une économie qui investit et qui développe des solutions. On a reconnu qu'ici en Alberta et ailleurs, il y a encore des familles qui doivent chauffer à l'huile. Et de chauffer à l'huile, c'est plus cher, c'est plus polluant et c'est plus utilisé par des familles à plus faible revenu qui n'ont pas la possibilité de transformer leur façon de chauffer leur maison. C'est pour ça qu'on a mis une pause sur le prix sur la pollution, sur le chauffage à l'huile, pour justement permettre aux gens, pour les 3 prochaines années, d'investir et d'avoir des thermopompes gratuites dans les provinces où ils sont prêts à travailler avec nous. Déjà, on est plusieurs provinces à le faire et on va continuer d'être là pour créer ces bénéfices, pour que les gens puissent transformer leur façon de chauffer, pour être plus responsables, moins polluants et plus abordables en même temps. Alors, on va continuer de livrer un prix sur la pollution parce que de polluer, ça ne devrait pas être gratuit nulle part au pays. The price on pollution was designed to do 2 things. Both send a clear signal to investors, to companies, to Canadians that it makes good sense to invest in reducing our carbon emissions and saving energy. And a price signal is the clearest way of doing that. But the second goal of the price on pollution was to make sure that middle-class families and vulnerable families across the country weren't carrying the brunt of that price on pollution. And that's exactly what we've done. A family of 4 in Alberta is going to receive $1,800 over the coming year with our price on pollution. That is more than the average family will pay with the carbon price. And there's a 20% top-up for rural areas that puts it over $2,000. Those are checks that the Conservative governments and Conservative Party wants to take away from people. It's a way of both fighting climate change, of pushing for innovation and better technologies, and putting more money in the pockets of Canadians right across the country. 8 out of 10 families in the jurisdictions across the country that have the federal price on pollution do better with the Canada carbon rebate checks they get every few months than it costs them. That's what a smart plan to price pollution is all about. And I can understand there's a lot of political misinformation and disinformation about that. But every Canadian knows, particularly here in Alberta, that the impacts of climate change are real, and the opportunities to innovate and build an economy of the future with hydrogen, with CCUS, with renewables, with nuclear, is going to continue to lead good jobs for Albertans and an economically driving force here in Alberta in a world that understands the reality of climate change.
Next question.
Good
Hello.
to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Haven't
as
seen you in a
well.
while.
Yes, exactly. Well, hopefully we'll see you at Stampede.
Every year.
Rick Bell, Post Media. What do you? I'm going to try to sneak in sort of a two-parter here, but it's going to be very quick. Number one, what do you say to people who aren't buying what you just said? You know, aren't buying your argument, and they're not just all conservatives or all politicians or all misinformation people. So what do you say to those people, including premiers, including Premier Smith, who aren't buying that argument? So you got to give us something more to try to convince people of that, because there's a lot of people who aren't convinced. They want to pause in April, etc. And this one's an easy one. Are you more or less likely to fire your environment minister because Premier Smith keeps saying you should fire your environment minister?
Listen, right now, everyone is stressed out with the cost of living. It is a stressful time. There are massive challenges around the world in terms of inflation, in terms of supply chains. There are wars going on in a way that is putting more pressure on people and emotional angst on a whole bunch of people in every community. There is uncertainties. We're still, in some ways, recovering from the effects of the acute pandemic that we just had. We're dealing with, countries getting more protectionistic in a whole bunch of different ways. There are real challenges in the world right now. And one of the challenges everybody is seeing is climate change. Alberta declared a start to its forest fire season in February this year. We had one of the worst years for wildfires ever, on top of some of the worst years for floods, and droughts in different parts of the country as well. The impacts of climate change are real. And they're not just environmental or, community-based, they're also economic. We are seeing that investors from around the world are looking to where they can rely on clean energy, where they can develop some of the climate solutions they have, where there's a focus on decarbonizing the processes that we have for whatever it is, so that there can be more competitiveness in a world that is adjusting to the fact that we're having to reduce our emissions of carbon in everything we do. Those are just the facts. The question is, what do we choose to do with that? What decisions do we make collectively to tackle this problem? Now, for decades now, as people saw the challenges with the environment, the political will just wasn't there because there wasn't enough support for it across the country. Who would want to actually, face a challenge that really is only going to hit a few decades from now? That'll be someone else's problem, is unfortunately the easiest way to respond to this. We don't have to do anything. It won't hit us now while I'm in office, so let's just push off the problem for more and more people to deal with. The problem is the fact that we pushed off this problem for decades already means it gets more and more expensive to make the changes that are necessary, not just to protect communities' quality of life, but also to protect our environmental opportunities and growth that we have. So the question becomes, does anyone really think you can build a strong economy for the future without, at the same time, fighting climate change and being responsible about the environment? The fact is, you cannot. You can't have a plan for the economy if you don't have a plan to fight climate change. So then the question becomes, well, how do you fight climate change? There are lots of different ways you can do it. You can bring in the heavy hand of regulations to force people to do different things. You can bring in different incentives and subsidies and rewards to invest in companies that are actually doing the right kinds of things. But that all involves the heavy hand of government weighing in on how we're going to do that. I prefer a cleaner solution, a market-based solution of saying, you know what? If you're behaving in ways that are going to cause pollution that is going to impact the whole community, you should pay for that pollution so the community then doesn't suffer the negative sides of it or have to clean it up on their own dime. That's what we do when people spewing water into wastewater from factories into streams. We say, no, 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 you're going to have to clean that up. You're going to have to be responsible for the pollution you create. So that's why putting a price on carbon emissions just makes sense, because a company that says, oh, you know what, I'm going to avoid paying that price by investing in a better type of technology, well, that just makes sense. And that company should be rewarded. And a company that says, no, I'm just going to continue to pollute, the fact that they wouldn't get dinged for that doesn't make sense either. So we said, pollution will have a price on it. But more than that, we know there's a lot of families across this country who don't have huge amounts of choices in terms of, oh, I'm just going to buy a much more fuel-efficient car, I'm going to replace my roof or my insulation or my windows. That's a hard investment to make. So we wanted to make sure that people who continue to not be able to change much in their behaviors would get that money back. And that's what we do with the price on pollution. But think about a family that does decide, oh, okay, you know what, we can get a slightly smaller car, or we're going to replace our windows, we'll go for the slightly more fuel-efficient windows. Well, they actually get more money back because they're spending less on that price on pollution. So it's a logical way to do things, but yes, it does require putting a price on things right now so that we can set ourselves up for success in the future. And that's an easy thing for short-term politicians, short-term thinker politicians, to say, oh, we'll get rid of the price. They don't talk about the fact that they're also going to get rid of that check, the Canada carbon rebate, that puts more money in the pockets of the vast majority of Canadians. And they don't have a plan, or they don't talk about how they're going to actually use the heavy hand of government through regulations or through subsidies or some other way to pick winners and losers in the economy, as opposed to trusting the market. Now, your question, Rick, is sort of, well, that all makes sense. Why are so many people still against it? Well, you know, that's a question we all have to ask. But my job is not to be popular. My job, although it helps, my job is to do the right things for Canada now and do the right things for Canadians a generation from now. And that's what I've been focused on. And yeah, it's not always popular. But I know that doing the right things today that support people today, that deliver that better future a generation from now, 2 generations from now, is going to make a huge difference in the path we take forward. In regards to my environment minister, I have tremendous faith and confidence in my environment minister. And if if people are having a trouble getting along with them, maybe they need to look at their own approach to these big issues, as opposed to looking at what he's talking about, which is consistent with building a better future for everyone.
Next question.
Hi, Rachel McLean from CBC News. Can I get this in French as well? The Auditor General has had to fire 3 staff who are making money on the side from undisclosed government contracts, and the ArriveCan revelations continue. Do you still have confidence in the government's contracting process, given some of the ethical lapses that have been uncovered in recent weeks?
We have seen that procurement processes and contract processes within the public service are sometimes unacceptable. That's why we have launched investigations, and we are rethinking how the public service does procurement and does contracting. This is, Canadians have a right to accept and expect that their governments in all the work they do, at the political level, yes, but also at the non-political level, be responsible and efficient stewards of taxpayer dollars, and that's why we're taking this so seriously. Je pense que la situation démontre qu'il y a des pratiques inacceptables au sein de la fonction publique par rapport au contrat, par rapport à l'approvisionnement. C'est pour ça qu'on a lancé des enquêtes là-dessus et qu'on s'attend à ce qu'il y ait des changements profonds dans la façon que le gouvernement et que la fonction publique s'occupent de l'approvisionnement.
Next question.
Heather Yerkes-West with Global National. Just to follow on that, we now have multiple examples of civil servants making large sums of money on the side through undisclosed government contracts like the ArriveCan app. Do you believe that this is ethical, and is your government willing to make changes to the rules so that this doesn't happen in the future? No, this is an unacceptable situation, and there need to be changes on this. Government needs to make sure that everyone from the political level to the public service level are responsible, transparent stewards of the public money. And what we've seen in terms of the procurement process that's ongoing within government, there need to be significant changes. That's why there are ongoing investigations, and that's why we will be making changes.
Prochaine question.
Kelly Kreiderman, Globe and Mail. Prime Minister, with respect, we're hearing a lot today about a lot of issues, and we're assuming you didn't come to a big agreement with Premier Smith on energy or climate policy. What is the main purpose of your trip to Calgary today?
I'm here to highlight the impact that dental care is going to have on seniors right across the country. 1.3 million seniors are now registered for the Canada Dental Plan, something that, quite frankly, conservative politicians, and particularly federal conservative politicians, won't talk about because they stand against. So if I don't get out there across the country and meet with seniors and talk about the impact that we're having in positive ways in people's lives, then nobody will. So I'm glad to be back in Calgary. I'm going to be meeting with seniors a little later. I was pleased to talk with Premier Smith. We highlighted some of the challenges that we're working on solving around childcare, for example, where the billions of dollars of investments the federal government is making is starting to make a real difference in people's lives. But we also did talk about how we're moving forward and how our officials particularly are moving forward on clean electricity, on investing in renewables, and how we're partnering on big projects, whether it's Dow Chemicals or others, to deliver for Albertans. The Prime Minister's job doesn't just happen in Ottawa. Indeed, it shouldn't just happen in Ottawa, and it's a delight for me to be able to be back here in Alberta, meeting with people, talking about the ways the federal government continues to believe in and invest in Albertans.
En français?
Okay. Je suis ici aujourd'hui pour souligner à quel point c'est important d'investir dans les soins dentaires pour les Canadiens et que maintenant, il y a 1,3 million d'aînés à travers le pays qui sont enregistrés pour les soins dentaires. C'est une grosse chose qui va aider énormément de gens dans les coûts de la vie, mais aussi livrer de meilleurs résultats au niveau de l'économie et de leur santé. Donc, on va continuer d'être là. La job d'un premier ministre, c'est pas juste de rester à Ottawa, c'est d'être avec les gens à travers le pays, en train de parler de tout ce qu'on est en train de faire pour aider les gens, pour investir dans un avenir plus prospère. Ça fait partie de mes responsabilités et je suis très, très content d'être de retour en Alberta pour ce faire.
Prochaine question.
Tyson Fedora with CTV. Prime Minister, so just to confirm, nothing new being announced here in Calgary today or for Calgary, just to follow up on Kelly's question.
nothing new. Did you know 1.3 million seniors have signed up for dental care?
Mm-hmm.
No, you know now.
Yeah,
yes, I announced that today. That is great news, that is actually impressive. Every single one of those seniors is being funded by the federal government to get dental care. This is a big thing, not a small thing. And the fact that the Conservative Party continues to stand against dental care, doesn't want seniors to get dental care if they can't already afford it, that's a very clear point of differentiation between a government that believes in investing in people and continues to, and a government that thinks that cuts to programs is the only way to build a stronger future. Well, they're wrong about that, and I'm happy to be here in Calgary to highlight that once again.
My question is about former Mayor Nenshi running for the Alberta NDP. Do you have any thoughts on that? Of course, that's Mr. Chahal's former colleague as well. I know you actively potentially tried to get him to run federally in the last election. What are your thoughts on Mr. Nenshi trying to go up?
I think good people stepping up into politics is always a win for citizens across the country. Naheed was a very strong mayor of Calgary for many years, and we worked together on a lot of big issues. I'm not going to weigh in on provincial leadership races, particularly not for a party that I'm not part of, but I wish everyone the best, and I think robust races with great people stepping up is a really good thing for our democracy, particularly at a time of tremendous cynicism and division and toxicity in politics. To see good people step forward with thoughtful solutions is something we should all be encouraging more of.
2 last questions.
Hi, Sean Polzer, Western Standard. Given that Saskatchewan has decided not to rebate the carbon tax, there's been some question over possible penalties over the Saskatchewan Premier breaking the law. It's something that Danielle Smith has been worried about as well. And it all seems to kind of come back to the carve-out for the home heating oil back in Atlantic Canada. So the question is what would these consequences be for not rebating the tax? And do you have any regrets about carving out the home heating oil?
Well, first of all, on home heating oil, let's be very clear. There are thousands of families here in Alberta and in Saskatchewan and in every part of the country that still rely on home heating oil, which is more polluting, more expensive, more subject to international price fluctuations, and is perversely more relied on by proportionately lower income households. And we recognized that the simple price signal, the clear price signal that the price on pollution gave, wasn't enough to enable those vulnerable families to make those investments up front in replacing home heating oil with a heat pump or what have you. That's why the federal government has stepped up with a program that actually loans money so people can replace their home heating oil and home heating oil with a heat pump and repay it over the coming years, because they'll be able to with the savings they have. And in some provinces, we're working with the provincial government to make sure that lower income people who have home heating oil can replace their home heating oil furnaces for free with a heat pump, which will save them massive amounts of money over the coming years. Yes, we want to give home heating oil customers a free heat pump so they can save money and heat their homes more reliably over the future. That's what that program is. And yes, it benefits Atlantic Canada, but it also benefits Saskatchewan, Alberta, and every province and territory across the country. Secondly, on the decision by the government of Saskatchewan to not pay its taxes to the federal government. As we've seen from a few different premiers, you can use the notwithstanding clause to opt out of basic charter rights of Canadians. I think it's a bad idea, but a number of people are doing it. You can opt out of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms by using the notwithstanding clause. But you can't opt out of the Federation. You can't opt out of Canada. We are a country of laws. We're a country of rules and responsibilities. And it's evolved over 150 plus years to be this extraordinarily successful country we have. And we expect people to obey the law. That's what governments expect of their citizens. That's what citizens should expect of their governments.
Last question.
Hiren Mansakani with the Calgary Herald. This is a two-parter. So the Alberta Dental Association has had a number of questions and concerns about this new program and what would be the implications, especially for their salaries and administrative work. And so they've said that there's very little clarity on it. And you know, these are some of the concerns they have for the federal government. And secondly, with the pharmacare program, the Premier Smith's government has clearly opposed the program even without seeing the details, saying that they want funding instead of having to adhere to this program. How do you kind of respond to these concerns? Thank you.
First of all, on the dental associations across the country, we are in close conversation with them right now. Actually, as of just this past Monday, we're seeing dental care providers across the country start to sign up for this program. The final fee structures aren't quite negotiated yet. We're continuing to do that, but the ballpark we're in actually looks like the federal system will be of greater benefit or greater generosity or greater fees than some of the provincial systems for some vulnerable groups that compensate dentists for services. So we are confident that this is going to be a great opportunity, not just for Canadian seniors and young people and others to be able to get the dental care that they need, but it'll also be an opportunity for dentists across this country to bring in new customers, to get well paid for it, and to benefit from the kinds of systems we're putting in place. We're very optimistic that this is going to be a game changer, not just for seniors, but for the dental community as well, as more people are able to actually get their teeth taken care of in the right kinds of ways. Second question was in regards to pharmacare, yes. I actually had a brief conversation about pharmacare with the Premier this morning. The reality is far too many people are still squeezed on having to make choices between groceries and paying for needed medications. And the two areas that we recognize that being most acute that we're moving forward with right now, first of all, on contraception. We know that too many women are having to choose between getting the right medical device to be able to choose when to start a family and with whom. In some cases, significant upfront costs that they can't cover. And therefore, they don't have the kind of control over their life and career that they would want to have. And cost being a barrier for that isn't right in a country like Canada. So we are moving forward on making sure that women have access to prescription contraceptives through our new pharmacare program right across the country. And secondly, our choice around diabetes. Diabetes, as people who are health professionals know, is the base factor in so many negative health outcomes. People who have diabetes have greater chances of heart challenges, of limb problems, circulations, amputations, eyesight. Diabetes is a main contributor to blindness in this country as well. And they're all things that can be avoided if someone actually takes the medications that will keep them safe and healthy through their long lives. But people are not able to afford diabetes medication in far too many cases. So not only does it lead them to worsening quality of life, but it leads to significant costs and pressures on our healthcare system as we're dealing with the consequences of someone not being able to pay for the insulin they needed. That's why our goal on pharmacare is to make sure that the gaps in coverage that exist in every province across the country get filled in those two areas. That's a goal that I think everyone can agree with. I talked with Premier Smith. She said around 25% of people don't have pharmacare coverage in Alberta, even though they have good, strong systems here. And you have good, strong systems here in Alberta. There are gaps. So what I said to her is, look, we want to work with you on a way that makes sense for you, that will be different from BC, different from Quebec, different from Ontario, different from PEI. But we want to work with you on a system that'll make sure that everyone in Alberta is able to access coverage for diabetes medication and for contraceptives on a prescription basis. And that's going to have a huge positive impact on communities and on our healthcare system. So the federal government isn't defining the program. We're going to sit down and work with the provinces to deliver ways that cover the gaps. And that's something that I think everyone can get behind, except apparently the federal Conservatives, but I'll leave them to explain their positioning on that.
Allô, encore une fois, Anne-Marie, et j'aimerais juste votre réaction sur la situation en Haïti actuellement.
Merci. Écoutez, les Canadiens sont en train de regarder la situation en Haïti avec beaucoup de préoccupation. C'est une crise humanitaire et sécuritaire qui découle depuis des mois et des mois maintenant. Je peux vous assurer que le Canada et moi-même, j'ai été extrêmement engagé au cours des derniers mois, particulièrement cette fin de semaine avec des conversations avec différents leaders des Caraïbes, incluant le Premier ministre sortant, Ariel Henry, sur comment on peut encourager et créer le contexte pour une solution haïtienne à cette crise haïtienne. Parce que les partenaires internationaux ont eu beaucoup d'interventions au fil des dernières décennies qui n'ont pas abouti à une stabilité, une solidité nécessaire pour leur démocratie ou leur économie. Alors, on est là pour travailler avec les partenaires de la région. J'ai été sur des appels lundi et toute la journée sur cet enjeu-là. Et on va continuer d'être là avec de l'aide humanitaire, avec des investissements dans la police, mais surtout avec des pressions politiques pour s'assurer que la classe politique haïtienne elle-même s'engage à trouver la stabilité et la prospérité qui est si nécessaire pour la perle des Antilles. A lot of Canadians are asking real questions about what's going on in Haiti and how we can help, because we've seen over the past months the worsening security and humanitarian crisis that is just heartbreaking. Canada has been actively engaged for months and months now in funding the Haitian National Police and putting pressure on the Haitian political class to establish stability. Over the past weekend, I spoke with a number of different Caribbean leaders, from Mia Motley to Andrew Holness to Ralph Gonsalves and others, and the president of CARICOM, President Ali of Guyana, to help coordinate the solutions that are being put forward. I spoke with Prime Minister Ariel Henry as well to talk about what more Canada can do. But the focus we have, and that we have been working on very closely with some other partners, is creating a Haitian-led solution to this crisis. The international community has been intervening for 30 years in Haiti, and we are still finding ourselves in this impossible situation. Right now, we're in a position where, yes, we're funding the police, we're helping with humanitarian aid, but we need to see Haiti's political class come together and figure out a way to move forward that puts the well-being of the Haitian people at the center of everything it does, and we're going to continue to stay very, very active, as I was all day Monday, on this situation, because it matters so much, not just for Canadians of Haitian origin, but for people across the Americas who are watching this humanitarian and security crisis unfold.
Thank you very much. This is what concludes press conference.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you.